Hello and good afternoon, parents. My name is Krystal Dement. I am filling in for Helen Panos today. She is on a vacation. It is her birthday. And so here I am. Today, we're going to be talking about ADHD hacks for responsibility. And so, who better to help with that one than the executive function coach, Coach Krystal? So, I'm glad you guys are here. I know that there's a lot of talk around this subject. And so the truth is it's not a matter of won't do, it's a matter of can't do. Okay. So with people with executive dysfunction, it's not like they don't know what to do. It's doing what they know. Okay. You might have heard that said in another way out there in the ether. But we want to tackle that. And so it's not in the traditional way. You know, their brains are wired differently. And once we understand that, we can use simple, effective strategies to make a huge difference. So, in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to give you 3 practical hacks. Okay, so pay attention that you can start using today to build responsibility in a way that actually works. Sound good? All right. So, first, we're going to start with the brain behind the behavior. Let's quickly talk about why this is so hard. At the core of ADHD are executive function deficits. Okay, so executive dysfunction. Think of executive functions as the CEO of the brain. They're in charge of planning, organizing, starting tasks, and staying on track. For a child with ADHD, this CEO is often a long coffee break. So when you see a messy room, it's not disrespect, it's a planning and organization challenge. When they forget their jacket, it's not carelessness, okay? It's usually a working memory issue, okay? So the key is to stop trying to force them to remember and start building systems that do the remembering for them. Our goal is to support the skill, not to punish the symptom. And so, hack 1 is get it out of their heads. Okay. This is my favorite one, offloading. You might hear me say this a lot. So, our kids can't just remember. Okay. So, our first hack is to externalize the responsibility. We need to get the responsibility out of their brain and into the world where they can see it. Use visual checklists. Don't just say clean your room. Give them a checklist with pictures or simple words. This gives them a clear visual map of what needs to be done. The second one is post it on a whiteboard. And I can't say this one big enough, but when something is written big on a whiteboard, the importance is big as well. And so it's very helpful. Make it simple. And put it in the kitchen, somewhere that everybody goes, in a central spot, right? List daily chores or homework on this board. It's a visual cue they can't ignore. So they can't walk past it and say that they didn't see it or whatever, because it's there and it's huge. Now, if it does go over a long period of time that you're using this whiteboard and they start to ignore it, that's called alarm fatigue, is what we call that. So that means that they've seen it so many times that it just turned into background noise. And what you need to do in that situation is move that board to a new place that's either more in their face or in their path. Okay. So you can do the same thing with other alarms that you have, which brings me to the next point, which is set alarms. Use a phone or smart speaker to set alarms for different tasks. Label each one: time to get dressed, time to brush teeth. Really make it that simple, because it is that difficult to follow through with those things. The alarm becomes the reminder, so you don't have to be, because we don't want to have to do that. We want to make sure that they can take responsibility for their own actions, and teaching them how to use these visual checklists, the whiteboard, and setting the alarms are things that they're going to use for the rest of their life. And so I reiterate once again, make it simple, Make it visual and make it consistent. So moving on from there, hack number 2, stack and automate. So starting a new task is often the hardest part for the brain with ADHD. We hear that most people that call, and most people that are looking for executive function coaching, they say task initiation is one of the biggest hurdles that they have. And so we usually start with this first. So stacking and automating, we're going to piggyback a new responsibility onto a habit they already have. You might have heard this called habit stacking. So stacking. The backpack first rule. Does your child always head straight for the kitchen after school? Perfect. The rule is now backpack goes on the hook, then you can get your snack. It's a this, then that. You're linking the new behavior, hanging up the backpack, to a strong existing one, getting the snack. You can use this in so many ways. And you don't even have to have a timestamp on something like this. It's a, if this happens, this happens. And so the if then rule is what we call that. And you can use that for anything, like I said. Another example would be, if I get home, then I put my shoes away. Or if I finish dinner, then I put my plate in the dishwasher. And start building these slowly is what's important, because these habits take a long time to really solidify. And if you throw too many of them at the child, then they will become overwhelmed and it will fall apart. And so make sure that you're starting with 1 or 2 a week until they get used to the pattern. All right. Next, we have gamify and celebrate. Gamify, gamify, gamify. Make it fun. This is really important. The ADHD brain loves a quick hit of dopamine. We all know that. That feel-good chemical. Long-term rewards often don't work because the finish line feels too far away, right? And so my final hack is to gamify and celebrate. We need to make responsibility fun and rewarding in the moment. Make it a game. Instead of clean up your mess, try, let's see how many toys you can put in the bin in 2 minutes. The timer adds a fun challenge and a sense of urgency. Now, if we're not talking about toys and we're talking about something else, you can gamify, say, if you have a pile of trash in your room, which often happens with teenagers, turn it into a basketball game with the trash can. See how many you can throw into the trash can and make it, and keep points, right? And you can help them do this because it also creates a point of connection. It makes cleaning not so a solo task that is boring, and more so a you and me thing that we do together, right? So the next one is going to be use the quick rewards. Okay, so a sticker on a chart can immediately earn them 15 minutes of screen time. Like I said, this works a little more for younger, but also you can use other types of token systems like money, right? $1 for doing something goes a long way. The big reward, like a new video game, can be tied to a certain number of points. So if you're on that point system, you can use the certain number of points to get the big thing. Or you can delegate out, or you can partition out how much money it would cost for them to get that 3D printer they want, or something like that, and say, you've got to clean the cat box twice a day to get this. And each time you get this much for cleaning the cat box. Of course, give them a little bit of extra leeway, because sometimes we are tired and we are sick as human beings. And sometimes we do forget, especially with ADHD. So just reward the effort is another one. Make sure that you're doing that, because that effort that goes into doing mundane tasks really is that difficult for somebody with ADHD. The next one is give that specific praise. So be their biggest cheerleader. I saw you put your shoes away without me even asking. That is a huge help. Say something like that. Sometimes they don't want to hear, oh, you did such a good job, because it feels condescending. So say something like that without me even asking. You're a huge help. I really appreciate you. That specific, immediate praise immediate, is a powerful dose of dopamine all by itself. So we're not just bribing them, we're giving their brain a short-term instant gratification it needs to create a positive association with responsibility. And that's what we want. So the next thing I'm going to do is ask if anybody has any questions out there. You can go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll reach out to you and answer those questions for you. Also, we are doing free consultations. So if you reach out to info@dynamislearningacademy.com, my apologies, info@dynamislearningacademy.com, or call 770-282-9931, we can get you set up with a free consultation. I can help you figure out what's going on and help you to create a plan on what we need to do next. And so I hope to hear from you guys. Once again, my name is Krystal. I am the executive function coach around here. I'm filling in for Helen Panos, the owner and CEO of Dynamis Learning Academy. She's doing some really great things and deserves a birthday break. So this will be the last episode in this series. And so I hope to see you next time. You guys have a wonderful day.